The big news, obviously, is Devon Achane's injury. And it's a bad news here. But when you understand what this kid avoided, it's really good news. I'm going to go over the play and show you some stuff, not just on the kid, but other things. Kind of talk about the situation and his production so far and what this kid brings to the table and what we're going to be missing. But overall, considering the possibilities, this is great news so far. It's still some murky water because when you hear we're trying to figure it out, we're getting multiple opinions, it does create concern. But overall, there's no serious long-term damage done to this kid's knee. So that's great news. So I'm going to go over that whole thing. And then I'm going to talk about the run game in general in the NFL, understanding some of the things that are kind of transpired and how you can really evaluate it. And then I'm going to get into Jevon Holland. Somebody asked me to go talk about Jevon Holland's tackling. We've seen him miss a lot of tackles, and it's been kind of like in your face and like, what is his history? So I'm going to cover that a little bit. I'm deep in the film right now, finding some interesting stuff. I'm such an idiot. I'm like, I start the film, I throw on, I don't look at it like it, but I don't like rap, but I love Tupac and DMX. And what I do when I do my film study is I put one song on loop just to get like my mind in a thing. So I put a Tupac song, Death Around the Corner. I love that song to death. It's such a great song. I think it was apropos considering what we were doing to these Giants here. And my mind was to study out Hunt and to study out Baker. And then I started finding myself thinking about other things as stupid ADD. So I'm going to have a whole film about all the things that I saw were interesting. And then I'm going to go back later on tonight and try to focus on Baker and Hunt. Man, I got the brain of like a hummingbird. Anyway, so the film will be out tomorrow, but I had to get to this first. I was a running back. I played a little in junior college. It's my heart. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, one of the best backs ever. Great back. Somebody said, I said, Devon's not a great back. And there was a little conversation. The brother's like, well, you need to define that term. Great back is Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, I was going to say Bruce Dickerson, singer from Maiden. But Dickerson, Earl Campbell, Jim Brown, Marshall Faulk, Peterson. These are great backs. They've got great traits. They were able to have great seasons, multiple great seasons over long periods of time. That's greatness. Now, Devon has great speed. And when you see this film, great toughness. And he's had some great games and great plays. But it takes a lot to carry the mantle of great running back. Great gets thrown around all the time. Genius and great. And friend, if you look at the today what the way people think, is just a term that has lost its value, its sparkle. And so Devon Achane may become a great back, but a great back is a very rare and special thing. To survive as a running back, I think the average lifespan is 3.5 years. And then to excel at it means you are the creme de la creme, the oomph, as Miles Davis said, the most special. So I wanted to get that across. This kid has two great traits right now. One is his speed, and when you see what I'm going to show you, his toughness. Let's take a look at the play here. And I am so amazed that this kid is not done for the season. It's mind-blowing. It really is. He got so lucky. We got so lucky. But I want to show you a thing. Well, look at Wynn getting destroyed here. And then you got Williams pursuing behind and tackling him from behind. That's the most dangerous when you got a guy in the front and a 305-pound guy on your back. But look at his face. He knows that it's not right. Okay? But I want to show you what this kid endured. Okay? And it is so unbelievable. Look at this. Now he gets tackled from behind. His knee is now this, and his foot is going this with a 305-pound guy. That is severe torque on the knee. For this guy to bounce up like that and to walk off the field and shake his head, it is mind-blowing. I cannot believe your thigh is going this way, your calf is going this way, and then your foot goes 30, 60, 90 degrees with a 305-pound guy on your back. And then you put your hand up and get pulled up to stand up, jog off the field knowing you are hurt. That's the mindset of a great back. Now, we got to see how it plays out, but that toughness paired with that speed are two phenomenal traits. And I'm telling you, the flexibility of this kid, he's like a Romanian gymnast with that knee. I cannot believe there was not torn ligaments. I just can't believe it. When you see that leg going like this, rotating with, it's mind-blowing what these guys have to go through. I cannot believe there was not serious injury here. And I've liked the kid, and I always hold myself back, especially for the running backs. But seeing that toughness, along with all these other things, he's entering in my special category without a doubt. Now, we got to understand something too. I don't believe in bloviation. I really believe in giving fair evals and giving people credit they're due and the negative evaluation they're due. And sometimes I hit, sometimes I miss, but I'm trying to be honest. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. Now, this kid, his speed is phenomenal. Now we see the toughness. But understand something, too. He's got 9.1 yards before contact. He nearly gets a first down before he's even touched. Now, to the kid's credit, he's got 3 yards after contact. And that says a ton. Now, yards before contact means before someone hits you. And it's not just good blocking. It's his explosion and his speed to stretch out the space given. And then, in a lot of cases, obviously we've seen, to pop it before it can close on him like Houdini. And so it's not just the blocking. It's his talent and speed and acceleration. But we also have to be honest that the defenses he's been playing have been terrible. And if you go and look at the yards before contact for the running backs, you're going to see very, very high numbers when you compare it to the end of the season. And there's a reason for this. Back in the old dog days, you used to have 2-a-day practices. The offensive linemen had more chemistry and better blockers, and the guys were better tacklers. Now, in the early part of the season, you see lots of missed tackles, and as the season goes, guys are getting used to tackling more, and the tackling gets better at the tail end. And so, Achane speed, his explosion, the blocking, the ability to create leverage with our receivers, bad defenses, and defenses that aren't really practiced in tackling, especially now that you're getting abbreviated preseasons and abbreviated off seasons and all this other stuff, has created this soup. Now, the kid still is going to have, even if you had everything optimal, guys tackling better, a little bit better defenses, he was still going to do amazing. But you look at Raheem, and he's got 4.5 yards before contact, which is mind-blowing. Usually by the end of the season, it's 3 points something for the best, and like 1 or 2 guys have it at most. So now the difference between Achane and Mostert is you're seeing Mostert is getting 0.9 yards after contact. That's 3 times less, a little bit more, than what Achane's getting. Now, it's not to say that Mostert isn't a tough guy able to break tackles, but you have to understand yards before contact and yards after contact, there's this nebulous correlation. So if you're getting tackled behind the line of scrimmage, you haven't built up any head of steam, and you're usually getting tackled by a guy who has more momentum than you or is bigger than you, a defensive lineman, a linebacker, or a D-end. But every yard you pass over the line of scrimmage before you get that contact, you've built up more and more speed, and now guys are reacting rather than attacking. And the deeper you go, the smaller the guys get. You get past the D linemen. You get past the linebackers. You start to get into the nickelbacks, the cornerbacks, and the safeties. And it gets easier and easier and easier to break tackles the deeper you get into before contact. And so Achane's ability to break tackles, he's had 4. His ability to get yards after contact, all that's been accentuated by poor defenses, by good blocking, and by his great speed and acceleration and toughness. It's a soup. And so the final correlation of what is what's not going to happen till the end of the season, okay? But for this kid not to have ripped that knee up and to be week to week and not immediately put on IR, this kid has toughness both in his mind and his body to absorb that blow. Everybody's got different levels of flexibility in their tendons. I cannot believe his knee was not ripped up. And we've got to allow this kid. He's a smaller kid. And you want him to be 100% healthy. We got the Panthers. We're going to beat the Panthers. They could call me up and we're going to beat the Panthers. Okay? So, and we're going to beat these Panthers without him. Then you're going to go to Philly. You've seen Philly's defense. You don't want this kid back by then or even consider that. Brandon Graham, Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweet. You got Fletcher Cox, Jalen Carter, who's playing out of his mind, along with Marrow and Cunningham, unbelievable secondary, linebacking group. And so this kid's not going to be back for 2 weeks. Easy. And you don't want him back. When you sprain a knee, it's micro tears. It just doesn't become a full big tear. This kid's hurt. And it's going to take a little while for him to get the stability back. He's a smaller kid. You want this kid to rest as long as possible. We're probably not going to beat the Eagles no matter what, whether he's there or not. We're in their turf. There's a stud team. Now, the Patriots game, it's 3 weeks away. Do you want him back there? I don't know. I think you just let this kid sit to maybe the week after the bye week. You've got a very tough slate of teams, defenses, good defensive teams. KC, you're in Germany. That's a long ride. But you come back against Vegas in week 11. And to me, that would be the best time to see this kid, the earliest. Because this kid is special. Whether it will transcend to great running back, I don't know. But this kid is special, and you want him to get fully healthy. So we see right now great yards before contact, but it's going to diminish. It's going to diminish as guys get to be better tacklers. The defenses figure out how to slow us. There's very clear ways. I don't understand why people aren't trying to use basic tactics to slow us. But we'll see. I think it's going to happen. I think you're going to see Carolina's not going to forget about that. But you'll see Philly slow us. Patriots, they did a good job undermanned. They're missing Judon and they're missing Gonzalez, but they might have the full. They're going to slow us a little bit. KC's defense is very good. You hit the bye week. Vegas, they're not slowing us. But you got the Jets and you got Commanders and Titans and Jets and Cowboys and Baltimore and Buffalo. And so you want to take care of this kid because if you notice what I said, the offensive line makes the NFL world go around. I said Wynn suffers from power. I'm not blaming Wynn on this, but he was destroyed inside. And then you got to slow down on the stretch run. and he got tackled from behind, which is a dangerous, dangerous situation. And so we've got to get this thing right, get him back where he's fully healthy and not jeopardize the future. This kid is the future. And so we have to be careful because a lot of the gaudy stats we have, they're still going to do well. We're still going to do well. We're still going to have these crazy pop plays, but the frequency is going to diminish as you get better and better teams. Teams get better at tackling and yada, yada, yada. So rushing this kid back is the worst thing possible. This was a serious, serious injury that could have been just destructive. And so we got to just keep all that in mind. Now, like I said, this week coming up, I forgot to mention this. Zach's getting his little celebration party, halftime in the Panthers game. Mostert and Wilson returning, along with Ahmed. They're going to be able to carry us and do a lot of stuff that we're doing. We're going to have a record where we're vying for the playoffs. And then you bring Achane back. Maybe Tehran's back. Maybe Wynn and Jackson and Hunt and Connor. They get a little more chemistry. They get a little more settled in a situation. And then you've got the nitroglycerin. And so this kid definitely needs to sit. So that's that. I am very impressed with this kid for his toughness now. It's exceptional. He could have easily just laid there and said, but he fought. That's the spirit of a running back. Never say die. Fight and just battle your way through all kinds of beatings. So I love this kid. I think he's moving straight up the board for me, as a person. Running back reveals the personality of the player more than any other position. Maybe quarterback. Because of the brutality, the sheer violence that you have to experience and how much you have to survive through in very quick, short order. Everybody's out to get you, and you can't throw the football away. So, all right, so Holland. Jevon Holland, you can see the little graphic over here. I was looking at Pro Football Reference. They had a set of stats, and it was different than the PFF stats. But I can really pull together a lot of quick stats from PFF in real short order and succinctly and present a nice little picture here. So I went with that. But they had the same thematics. It was kind of like the same, but the numbers were a little different, but you had the same vibe. So Jevon Holland, we'll look over his 3 seasons. He's had tackles, 34 this season, 85 last season, and 45 his first season. Now, he's only played 5 games, so you have to times that by 3 and a little after that. So he's on pace to have the most tackles he's had as a pro by a long shot. And so his job, his duties have been more and more to support the run. Missed tackle percentage, he had 45 in 2021, and he had 8.3 miss rate. But then as it went up to 85, it ballooned to 12.5. This year, he's got basically 8.5 miss rate, almost the same as his first season. And you can see the missed tackles, 4, 14, and 6. And so I'm assuming as you get more and more of something, you get a clearer evaluation of what the capabilities of someone is. And so I'm assuming by season's end, he'll be in that 12.5 missed tackle range, and he'll probably have 14, 15 missed tackles. It appears to be who he is. Can he fix it? Sure. But you just can't always fix everything that you want. Now look at his stops though. So his stops, he's got 8 stops. All right, so that's a lot of stops. And if you extrapolate that out, that's going to end up being 24 stops, which is big. And so you might get this missed tackle rate, and that's not good. But when you add in these stops, it really does counterbalance it out. And it's making me have to really look at his film a little differently because you're getting negative impact plays, but then you're getting positive impact plays. And then when you add all that in, it might end up being a very good soup. So look at his coverage. He's been targeted 19 times. If you extrapolate that out, that's going to be like 60 compared to last year of 32, last year of 22. His receptions, they've kind of gone up, but receiving percentage is 63.2. So it's a pretty decent cover percentage compared to last year, which was 81.3. Now he's got 98 yards per reception, 8.2. So he's dropping his reception percentage and he's dropping the depth at which they're catching it. So he's making more sure tackles, although you're seeing a pretty strong yak. So they may be testing him a little bit earlier, and depending on what Fangio's calling him to do, maybe because he's coming up into the box a little bit more with this mirror safety look, he's seeing guys more at the short rather than playing high free safety, single high, where the depth is much higher. Got to look at that a little bit more. Now, his ints aren't, he hasn't had one yet, but we got to wait to see how this plays out. But his pass breakups are 3. And again, that would be equating up to 12, which is going to be grossly more than he had last year. So he had the 3 picks, which are huge, but the breakups are nearly as big. And so if you end up with like 1 int and 12 breakups, I would take that over 3 ints and 4 breakups. And if you look again, the NFL completion percentage, I believe that is 76.2. So he's limiting what this guy's getting, and he's not getting any penalties. Look at his penalties. He doesn't really get too many penalties. He had 2 last year, and then 3, but 1 was waived off, and then 3. So he's had 3 a year. So right now he's on pace for maybe even less penalties. And so, yeah, we're not seeing the greatest tackling, and he might not ever be the greatest tackler. But if you can get a second safety to mirror with him, who's a little bit better tackler, then you can offset his weakness and let his strengths shine more. Problem is, we've had a big hole at that second safety look among other positions. And you have to understand that there's a lot of holes in these positions for many reasons, and I get that later. But overall, when you see Jevon Holland's season, he is having an excellent season. This missed tackle thing is a little bit of an ugly thing. It pops off the film. But some of this other stuff is kind of lurking behind the scenes, and it really says to me, this kid is doing an excellent job. He does have to refine his tackling because that one missed tackle, as we remember with Riggins in the Super Bowl 83, one missed tackle could really screw everything up. So overall, guys, be happy with Holland. He'll get things worked out. I like what I'm seeing from him across the board. And so let's just try to get that L safety. So overall, guys, great news for Achane. Yeah, you're not going to see him for a couple of weeks, but that knee, that talent is not getting sapped. Every time you rip that knee up, you never come back 100%, and this kid's speed needs to be taken care of. So let's give him some of his time. Zach's getting his time this week versus the Panthers, so let's get ready for that. There's a bunch of celebrations. If you guys can get there and celebrate Zach, because Zach is just amazing. And Jevon Holland, guys, yeah, it pops on the film to miss tackles, but this kid is still a star with room to grow. Only year 3. Anyway, Kerr saying, I'll get the film to you tomorrow. Catch you next time. Be well. Go Fins. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.